Hello once again, and welcome back to another melodic, conceptual, creative, unusual, sometimes sad, mostly happy, sometimes stupid, mostly smart, well, scratch that order. A lot of fun, and a lot of heartwarming information. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Let's cheer it up with a creative production. This wonderful day in this strange place. Thanks for joining. You know, in this essay, aside from determining which types of jets are flying over my head, we will be going through a couple of different maps. This one, a little bit by von Dr. Hans Fischer, and which was done apparently in the late 1600s. It's difficult, I believe the date may be on the map. Another one in the 1500s, and pardon my screen scrolling here as I'm looking at the dates. I found a couple of quite early dates that we will be showing. I'll be showing the fronts and the backs of the maps. To locate them here on the main page is becoming a bit of a difficulty because of all of the maps that I went through. But I have one from the 1500s, the 16. I have a bit from a 1300s, 13 or 14. Now this may have been one that we surveyed, but in this surveillance you will find a good variety of curiosities, especially in the Battle, the Battle of, I believe it's on this page. At any rate, let's go ahead and here it is, Battle di Mondo. In 1572 this map was created, and I actually found the Google Earth location, so it did some comparisons on that. And a couple of others, this one for instance, that was done in 1613. And so that's what I'll be going through in this particular essay, looking at some of this, and not as thoroughly. Once again, the disappeared islands are going to be up in this one. So anyway, hope you enjoy this particular essay. And to segue into the next section, there is so much in this specific detailed map that's pretty wow. It's a great map from 1613, and the area of Greece that I was going through recently is off the map over here on the right, and I will get back to this map and these islands for another curious survey. I find it personally difficult to edit all of this, especially when it gets to be over an hour, and the amount of time for me to double check, recheck, and then render is, look at this, like trilobytes. What is this? Oh, it's not trilobytes. It's what? Oh, horseshoe crabs? I don't know. Something in the ocean here. And the depictions that are shown, very, very many intense details. And the holy sun, all these little pockmark holes are a curiosity, as well as the incessant unicorns you find. I haven't seen any here specifically. And I've gotten comments recently about the elephants being Nephilim, and that is what's stated in the Chronicle of the Bible, Biblical Chronicles. That's all quite curious. And this way that things are drawn out and choreographed, or not choreographed, but calligraphed is pretty cool. It took a long time to make that W or whatever it is, D or I don't know. I don't even know what it is, but it looks cool. And then, of course, we have the River de Amazon, the Amazon River, and this cool gold leafing. I mean, I don't know if you've ever gold leafed. It's pretty fun to do, actually. But this is very intricate. A little gold leafing. And, yeah, I've done a lot of gold leafing. It's fun. And artwork. It's all quite fun. And this is artwork. And these two are hanging out down here underneath the tree, having a chit-chat. It's all quite elaborate. Anyway, we're going to go on to the next essay. I was just looking for more happy couples walking along. He's modest and she isn't, apparently. But she's got the bird. She's flipping him the bird. All right, keep positive. He's saying, hey, let's head over that way to the town hall. So, anyway, let's get into the next map. Thanks. I just can't stop the curiosities. I keep going off into here, help me carry the stick. I'm gonna put Johnny Depp on it. No, he's not too modest. He's they're dancing around, dancing around the tree. Woo-hoo! Was that like a favorite pastime back in the 1500s? To get naked and dance around trees with hands locked, or carry sticks from here to there. Less cannibals. Ah, the cannibals live over here. Or there are less cannibals than there are over. They don't look very cannibalistic, but maybe they're out to have a barbecue or something. France Arctica. So instead of Antarctica, it's France Arctica. Quite curious indeed. And this is in the South American area, obviously. Thank God I didn't call it African. So there are a lot of curiosities. All right, next to the on to the next map. This is an early map. And as you can see, the extreme detail in this map that was created in the 1600s. I'm going to go back in a moment to see what date this curious and peculiar piece is. And as you can see, we have one de Bonaventure. De Bonaventure. De Bonaventure, as it were. And Scheibogen. Just looking at a couple of these names and the curious outlines that are depicted in dots. And if you're familiar with this language, congratulations! And it's fairly dramatic. Oh, it's all quite dramatic. Let's take a look at this piece, right in the center of the stamped piece. It is a marine journal deposited in the depository for marine journals. Very curious. And the color changes. Alexa, next song. I apologize. I'm working with music in the background and dramatic symphonic music. And at the same time, check this out. Huh. He used a template to draw the circles, or a compass, obviously, with the central point right here to make the circles, and then kind of sketched in these little arrows and such. There's the date. 1689. And curiously done. Now, if you're a sailor, you're in a ship or a boat, and you've got this piece to work with, and this is all you've got to work with, and you know, oh, I don't know, your relative position, because you left this land mass over here, if you know what they are, because I sure don't, and I don't see any designated name. Port Royal, could be down in the Aussie area. There's Port Royal, and also in South America, and possibly in Africa. And I'm not seeing any of those words here. There's a marquee specifically drawn. You might have had a couple of glasses of wine on that one, but not bad, not too bad. This guy put a lot of work into this. And what he's thinking as a sailor is, where are we going to have safe ports of harbor? Where can we go in to, give our ship protection from the wind? And that's what these are for. So, all in all, as we look at maps today and we go, this is a piece of crap. No, I think back in the day, what was the day? And was there a day? So, I wanted to show you that as a curious 1600s map, and look at some of these curious details of the back side. 1689. Now this is beautiful writing here. Quite. I will turn the writing so that you can see this with the dramatic music going on. And now looking at the elaborate and smooth writing of this individual, how particularly specific they are in the Reynard, I'm not sure. 1689, the only bump in the road was the 8. Oh, had a little bump there, but everything is so smooth. Just really well done. And the map bled through, so this is the back side of the map. And familiar. Alright. And this is a bit like, what is this? I can't make it out on the small screen, and I'm just zooming in so that when I preview this on a large screen, I might be able to decipher some of these curious etchings. And there's some more that has bled out. It says 187. I see that much. And that could be profile. So I really can't make that out. And I believe that's a B-47 flying overhead right now. My airport location. A lot of little scribbling on the back that I'm trying to make out, and hopefully we'll be able to, on, as I keep mentioning, a larger screen. I make it sound like I'm working with this 2-inch screen. But the bleeding through the back side, that's bleeding of the other ink through the back side of the manuscript that we were just looking at. I thought that might be curious for you to survey. So on to the next. The seasons and the universal vicissitude of the seasons, and is curious to look at, but once again that is going to be absolutely massively confiscating. And I'm going to take a look at this particular piece here due to the fact that it is listed as a 1600s map. And go ahead and zoom in on this particular piece and really zoom in to notice that it immediately has a compass in its center. A compass in the center. And let's see what the compass has in Les Moves. And this is French. It is a French map. In 1613, obviously, this map was created. And they used this measure of scale, as it were, shown before you. Now you can see the Tropique de la Cancer, and as we go down, I mentioned in the last video that Florida has always been there. And I will get in all of the way. Now if you notice the keys down below, and I've brought up in a couple of them, Static in the Attic has mentioned it as well. Haha, there's his islands. If he watches this, he will really get a kick out of this part, showing these two islands and saying that, oh, the cartographers must not have known what they're doing. They put all of this work into the piece, all of this accuracy and meticulous detail, and then they get this wrong. The number of islands that are here. and to go back in and survey the Bahamas, which I did yesterday. It was quite obvious, as we saw. Go ahead and zoom back and run around. If you're new to a haphazard production, I will have to apologize, because I really don't cut that much out of my productions. I try not to. It's only when I cough or belch or slurp or blink too loud. And we were looking at the Floridian area and the missing islands. And what Static had brought up, and I've also mentioned but didn't have any evidence until now, of the variety of islands directly off, might say West Palm Beach here, and that are missing. You've got this large one, and two other very, very large islands that aren't here anymore. And there they are. See the location I was just talking about. And the location of the Bimini Islands would be where I'm circling at this point, right here. And then you see all of these other land masses. Now, the specific accuracy, as I've mentioned for a sailor, is the ports that you can see, the inlets that are safe ports. And now let's take a look at the Keys also. So you see the Florida Keys, how they're all right below here, and they don't stretch out to the Tortugas as they do today. All the keys are clustered down here. And that's how it is on another map that Static in the Attic shows. And so this old 1600s map is pretty cool. And I like the colorations. I'm sure that designates maybe a key here. This has a lot of stuff in this map. My 1613 map. Thank you to the French for creating this map, because de la Floride. Well, as I mentioned once again, I didn't even notice that. So there is a lot in this particular piece that I am going to be going through. And the colorations and the additions to the colorations are quite well done, in my opinion. The shading on the trees, it's very intense. Pun intended. Now let's get back to the areas of, I'll say northern North America, just to take a quick look at these islands up in this area, and then take a look at the Google Oit representation of such an area. Very quickly, very simply done. And the representations of these islands. And one nice thing about these older maps is they're so easy to do an immediate comparison just by viewing, without really you don't have to get down in there with a microscope on these things, because there is so much obvious evidence. They were more fundamental in their drawings, which I greatly appreciate, as you might say. Now I'm looking at the two compared right now this way, and I'm going to click over. I want to mention a little detail here with the center of this bay right here, the Bay of Fundy. Not another Fundy. Man, my jokes yesterday about the town of Fundy just weren't that much. Well, St. John, as we have here. Now we look into the area here, and this is as close apparently as I could get with this technique. And I was looking for St. Jean, and for the fourth time, if I get it on a large screen, I might be able to see. But checking out these bays, these inlets, this very large island protruding from the central area of the Bay of Fundy. And here is a little stub area right here. Let's see what this point is called, if it ever shows up. And there's St. Martin's over here. Obviously it showed up. But in this area, Advocate Harbor. So these guys will stick up for you. You just head on over there, and they will advocate whatever. All right. So similarities. Now this island, Advocate Harbor area, or this peninsula, which I was actually looking for the name of this peninsula to see if there was a designated or a specified name. And I could make fun about that river being there forever, but I won't make that joke. Right, so Waterside, Alma, Advocate Harbor, and then checking this out here. And whoops, that would be right here. Right. And if you look at this protruding, this seems to be quite a bit longer. And so I think, personally, it's sank, or otherwise. It does have this little, teeny little thing sticking out over here. But then if you go down from there, you see all of these. Now, they could be depictions of ships, but this is just islands and islands and islands and islands. And whoa, holy guacamole. And let's go back to the map and look for all this islands and islands and islands and islands. And islands and islands. And I see none. I see none. I see no islands. Yeah. So, that is a curious situation as well. So all of this seems to have, and if that were the case, wouldn't there have been a lot of people out here, and couldn't you go scuba diving and finding all kinds of neat stuff? Or maybe it was buried with, tons of silt and mud, or what? That's what all these surveys are about. Really is looking at, what was. These people didn't just accidentally make these things up in this way, or too obliterated to know what they were doing. And also the Iroquois. Coast of the Iroquois. Is that what it is now? Is it the coast of the Iroquois? I think not, good man. I beg to differ. As I say that it's not, I think not. Oh, no. I have to pop in here at the coast de l'Iroquois, as I was just mentioning, and look to see that whether or not my claim was a relevant claim or just unsubstantiated hodgepodge. I must do it. If I can disclaim myself, that's fine. But I'm just waiting for the names to show up, zooming in a little closer to find the Coast de l'Iroquois, or any semblance of, say, a name, an Iroquois name, or, Quebec is right down here at the, where it all comes to a head. There's Quebec City. And to carry on with the haphazard tradition, I had to hop into the information on Quebec and about Quebec and look at the provinces and territories of Canada. And some of the information about this area, and just quickly survey now as I look this information over. I am just essentially looking for the word that I was just speaking about, Iroquois, and wondering if Quebec in itself as a word was an Iroquois word. Inhabited, as you can see, right here, northern half of the province, sparsely populated, inhabited by primarily Aboriginal peoples. You Aboriginals. Oh, man. But you didn't have a name? Aboriginal. So they came up from Australia? Do they speak as Aussies? I wonder. I'm looking once again for the word Iroquois, and just seeing if, it had anything to do with the area, climate, topography, hippography, huffology, and all of this. So I don't see the word. That's all I was looking for, was the word Iroquois, since it was on that particular map. And so I do not see anything about the Iroquois. I don't live here. So there may be a great many, because we know the French and the Iroquois Well, according to the movies I've seen, got along. And the French owned this territory, or dominated at one point, so therefore named. Anyway, I wanted to substantiate that claim because I wanted to be sure I was stating some form of accuracy. I'm going to zoom in one more time here and let the names show up in these cities. Interesting. 3 pistols. This is tres pistoles. And the river of 3 pistols. I'm sure there's a story behind 3 pistols. And some more saints. Some Alavertre, the Arsens. That's don't wanna. Saint Arsene, the saint of starting fires. Just kidding if you like All Saints, because there's a whole lot of them here. Saint Monto, Saint this, Saint that, Saint Epiphany, Saint Paul, Saint Antonio. Wow. It seems like a semi... I wonder if they push any type of religion over here. I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of saints, but I don't see any Iroquois particular names. There may be some Saint Iroquois over here. I would not be surprised. And I'm not sure. I think I just counted generally 25 or 26 saint names, and they're still coming at you. So if you want to go back and, well, here's a ton of monogamy. And so if you want to get a single partner, I'm sorry, Montagnamanawa. My mistake. Apologize. So no, I don't see the Iroquois right here next to... I know there's a lot of Iroquois rivers and such, so, I'm probably just missing. It's not in this neighborhood. All right, so back to the video. And the distances between here, it's just a great deal of curiosity. Well, they sure didn't know their distances back then. But they did know the size of a ship, or whether or not an island actually existed. And there are 3 islands right here that are quite obvious, and near Iroquois hostes. Now there's a bunch of islands up above, so if you were to take that same comparison here and say there was a mass amount of islands up here, and well, there sure are. I wouldn't say mass, there are several. Let's just take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you could construe 6, 7, 8 right there. Quite simply. And maybe 9 over here. And whoopsie daisy. And you could go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Diolines. And obviously owned by the French, and this is a French map that we're looking at right here, obviously. So the 15 islands that I just counted along the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hell, there are 15 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 right there, and 6 here. So, not saying everything sunk and everything rearranged. Not everything. Not everything, obviously. Not everything, but to some degree, yes. These islands are gone. So it's, you might say no big deal. And you also might say, we've been here before, and this is all fabricated. They're just giving us stuff that was from a pre-existing civilization. And in the 1600s, this Louisiana territory, which I was pointing out yesterday, what is curious is all the way from Florida, all the way along to southern Louisiana, what appears to be to the Mississippi Delta tributary, there is this, I don't know, is that a sandbar sort of thing? There's a lot of it all the way through here, which now there really isn't. I want to go back to that area. I like jumping around on this, not Google Earth, but on this old map is just a boatload of fun. It's a barrel of monkeys. And the sandbar I was talking about from here to here. is gone, but there is a bit of a strait, or sandbar along this area, the Santa Rosa Island, etc. And so maybe that is the depiction of all of that. But this is just a small ridge up along the shoreline. It doesn't extend way out like this one does. I mean, okay, you could say, well, the cartographer didn't have his distances. Yeah, but he had this inlet down here. He had a pretty good sized inlet. And it's just a relative comparison on that inlet area to what is here as what could be construed as or considered to be an inlet, right? A large inlet. Well, the only one that I can actually make out, or would seem to be specific, well, you could take this indentation down here, but more likely in next to Lake Bourgnais, Pontchartrain. And so it could have been Pontchartrain, and this was all open area at that time, because there is no, you see here, it's just open. However, that's what I'm saying it could be. And why did he put these little dots here where it comes in and there's a dot, and it comes in, there's a dot? It seems like there was some sort of island in that particular area. So let's take a look over here and look for this dot. I just saw it right here next to Pascagoula. There's that little dot looking thing there, at any rate. And this inlet with the Mobile Bay and the island in the center could be the other dot area. So there is a lot more in this map that has curious details that I am going to be going through. And here's the Bâtile de Modon, a map from the 1500s, rare and unique, in a close-up view. Now I'm going to let you decipher for yourself momentarily as I slowly move the map, and you may consider the extreme drama being created by the music in the background. And you might feel as if you're in a whole nother universe. What are these? There are ships. How many ships are there? Let's count them. Alright, well, I say there's 73. That's just by looking at them. And you can freeze the screen. But then again, I did just zoom back, and which ones were I talking about? All of them, or just that little area? And who really gives a rat's find? But this is nice. As we can see, we have the obvious designations. This beautiful map, done in the 1500s. And that is quite a castle. Quite a castle. Now, you may have already recognized what area of our place of existence that I am showing. I'm going to zoom back and have you consider the larger letters. And the terrain, and the rivers, the tributaries, and the towns. Moligny, Amira. Zonchio. Where are you from? I'm from Zonchio. Where are you from? I'm from Is that Paris? Part. Te. E. So I've always considered it to be extremely curious. Now here's a huge army over here. Massive army. Where are they going? I don't know. And so, in investigating the Battle de Modon, I have to put this in and check for Any possible, the siege of Quebec and plans, no, that's not. They won first battle of the First World War. Let's see, 3 kilometers to the north was Forêt de Pernouille, the south was Forêt de Modon. I think that's a B-50 Ford flying overhead now. And looking at the, apparently Modon was also a scholar, but this is not one. The Lorraine campaign, division of Forêt Modon in a serious battle had been. And once again, this is a World War I information. And so I'm just seeing if there was any information. Now, if you want to go into the Battle of the First World War information here, and just take a quick survey of what it says in this spot right here. And this is not in the same area, just similar names. So I wanted to check to see if this battle were famous enough to show up somewhere in some chronicles, and it probably does somewhere. I can't get it in a search. Battle de Modon. But there's a bunch of guys with spears. There's a castle up on top of the hill. Nice location, with an R at the base of the castle. And Turchich. Guanajuato. I can't even think of a good joke for this one. You got these massive armies coming around the hill. Coming to get you. And this is Turchicalano a la Marina. So they must have come from the water. These are the guys marching down from the water. The little banners. And huge crowd of guys heading over this way. Over this way to Zancio. Heading over to Zancio, maybe take over the place. Because it doesn't look like they're heading toward this farm, although it is sort of veering off in that direction. Could be an ominous sign. Oh, there's another group of guys over here. And then there's a little eyeball in the hill right there. And I see the eyeball. Somebody drew that in. I don't know if that was... almost appears to be a little eyeball there, one here, one there, but it could just be the way the guy drew his bushes. Watching you. So the two armies amassing together with a massive army. It's got to be 8 times the size, if not 15, of this small cluster of men. Oh, there's another small cluster over here on the other side of Mamiro, but there's a river separating these two, but then again there are 2 tributaries separating these masses unless they head down into this area. So what is your battle strategy in this particular scenario? Now we have another near Turchich, fairly huge group of people. I mean, if you took this group and added them to this group and added them to this group, it still would not. No, I don't think so. It wouldn't add up to these guys. I don't think. So what's your opinion? Music's too loud? Alexa, stop. That was my opinion as well. And then the P-da-dee-da-ba, what's with the, pardon me, but if somebody else can see it, let me know, because I am seeing some pretty disjointed letters here. I don't mind, because I do listen to disjointed jazz, Chick Corea and such at times, or used to at any rate, prior to stopping the psychedelics. But now P-A-D-E, Padillo, is this one of those circle the letters type thing? There's an M-O down here. So where do you really start with this word? M-O-der... Maybe it's going to spell modern. There's an E, so far I've got mod A. If there's an N somewhere over here, M-E, there's an M-E. So dime. So this map costs a dime, apparently, because there's dime. Made out a word. Oh man, I'm getting somewhere. I feel like my life has been completed. And the interesting little, what? Clock, compass? Of course it's a compass analogy, but the direction, and then the letters. So, and so maybe you read it like peel, plum. I don't know, man. Anagrams. Put it together somehow. Slogdema, plasta. I hope I don't have too many people trying to figure out all the words that can come out of there, but what the? Why? And this is what I was talking about. You see the istana, right? And then if you put that with the R, it's ristana. And now if you go back here, you have the CH. So the actual word, all right, now doesn't this make you curious? It sure gets me. And it's not like an anger thing. It's more like, what the? Why didn't you just... Okay, CH, R. So they drew the picture first, and then afterwards they thought, where am I going to put the word that's large enough to see? And I apologize for being so distracted in this particular case scenario. Ranfo. P, is it P-E-R? Per. So that is absolutely quite confusing, as I just mentioned, the Christinia. And then what this looks like to me as far as land masses go, if I back off, and maybe you agree with this, maybe not. Or maybe you know where this is, because I am amiss. However, I popped this in on Google Earth to do a relative similar comparison, and then look at how the land mass is put together here, and then in this map. And you might go, well, you're way off base. Well, I may be, but it's the only area that I can see that is, or that has a similar sort of a, I don't know, contour, you might say, as this. Similar to a degree. Now, I could put in the word here, which is on the map, which I will do. What is it? Modon. Right here. Modon. Now, if you see something else that I'm missing on this, of course, I'm going to put the link to this particular map in my description. So, if you notice anything that is Armatach, is that Armatach? No, that's the Christina over here. So, Armata is what this is, and that could be, but then we have this here too. And so I think these are armadas, or, fleets of ships. And the designations of the name, Turcheska. That would be Turcheska. Okay. So, Modon. I was going to put that into Google Earth, so I'll just go to Google Earth, zoom down, so it'll... Modon, Greece. And Modon, Greece. And see if that map looks in any way... Oh, Metheny. Even though it says Modon in my entry area. Oh my God, don't talk about that. So back to the Grecian area. And I'll back off the map some to see if... Yeah, there's an island down here. Where it's a point there. And, and see this again. And Modon. And just a relative... See, there's two major inlets here. And back to this. I think I'm reaching pretty far with this, but let me just see. Two major inlets. Yeah, it's a far stretch. Now we've got Corony off here on the right side, and in the old map we were just looking at. There we go. Corona. So I may just have this one relatively interestingly close. Just absolute shock. So reorienting this more to the old time map with Corony sticking out on the side. And then let's get in close on Corony and see if it's all built in as it showed as a massive sort of castle area structure. And I know I apologize for the blurriness of this. Hopefully it will clear up in a moment. this area, and I want to look at the top. But what I did just now is I zoomed in on Google Earth to look at Corony, which is here as Coron, and the similar, land Capagallo and names. However, when I put that into Google Earth, you see this, how unbelievably blurred out it is. That's not changing, and I checked. I am online. And so this is not rendering the specifics that I was looking for. So let's just go up above to look at this bay area up top and see that the name is there. Quite curious indeed. Excellent. So this map from the 1500s is far more, it's far easier to find things, even though it doesn't have as many town names. Let's look at Moligny, for instance, right here along and on this river. And so if I go back into the map and look at the area that I was surveying, there should be a river right in here with the town called Moligny on it. And I wanted to do a little more thorough research on this obvious tributary or river that circles around what was once Sparta, or Spartae is over here off to the right where kind of the river comes from. And that might seem a little strange, but let me just go back to Google Earth. And as I mentioned, Kaumata is here, and I looked for tributaries that enter, into the water here, and I found one right here by Messini. If I back up, you'll see Kaumata here. And as far as waterways, this is the only one I could find right here, and I'm zooming in on it and hoping that a name will come. But as you can see up here, this water comes around this way, and the roads are marked with names. I don't see one on the waterway, but in the map, if you watch the water here, and you see how it curved around Kaumata. And now if I look for another waterway, I did look in here, I didn't see any actual rivers. I might now. This doesn't seem, maybe this was an old river, or is a stream or a creek now. But now I'm going to back off once again, pardon the screen jump. My point was this water here that curved around over to the right from Kaumata, or almost around and behind Kaumata. See, there's Kaumata here. And the reason I mentioned Sparta is that just a moment ago, as I was zooming back, I noticed there, Spartae by Mistras. So, looking for that waterway that I just mentioned that is shown here, that circles round. And couldn't really find the, that seems to be, unless I'm totally missing something in this, where it would be entering, over here and circling around, but I couldn't find any actual, waterways aside from that one that I just showed. I wanted to cover that briefly. And what is this? As always, as I'm about to sign out, this seems to be a waterway here as well, coming around by Gallica and entering here near Paralia Velicus. So that could also be that waterway, I suppose. I'm just trying to check out this peculiar and definitive waterway with the castle on it. I don't see the word Velicus here, but I do see battles going on, which I have or will cover. Thanks. Some of the markings. Well, as I was saying, Kaumata on this one, and then in the map itself, you have Kaumata right here. So that is kind of what we call a dead giveaway. Apparently this Moline town, unless you live around there and know otherwise, I don't see it. I see Messany. We'll zoom in a little more. Maybe Moline, just like Bethlehem, wasn't showing because of the size of the lettering. And so I may be missing that. So that's great. That's great. We have a congratulations on this particular map and map maker. And I think the war scenes and the curiosity of, the sizes, as I mentioned earlier, when you look at these sizes coming over the hill. Now, what is that hill, right? And these towns over here, this town called Zonchio, does that exist? Does it? Does it really? So if I put in Zonchio, Chio, see what happens. Enter. And so Zonchio, Greece, and I just entered that to no result. However, the idea or look of that map was that from over these hills came a great army. And that would be around these hills and mountains. So you can see a mountain here, or a vast area of mountains, and there was a settlement on the top of one of these mountains. And that's pretty much all I'm looking at this particular point in time, the arrangement of these mountains. If a vast army were to come through, it probably would have come through this way. And yeah, I know the jumping screen. I continue to look as I speak, and that you're probably looking at something else. Going back to the map again, and I am so happy that we did find something in an area that the map actually showed of the 1500s. Now there's this island, definitive island, and castle on an island. It just sticks out all the way across here. Huh. And that would be in what location here, I wonder. So the island, let's see, in relation to Corony, or Coron. Now, one of the facts that I could not glaze by was, since we have relatively identified this, I wanted to look at this massive castle right here that juts out near. There's so much to look at here. So I want to locate this area and see how this entire area is built in here. Now, if we go back to Google Earth and we look at the Corony here, back to the map, and look at the Corony here. Now, from there we have 1, 2, and on the third island, or point, I should say, it's not an island, it's peninsula. On that we have the third 1, 2, 3. And if you also notice, these appear as they're islands now, but if you go back to the map itself, they weren't islands, they were peninsulas. All right, let's take that into account. Also want to take into account that castle, which was my focus in the first place, which was located on the third, which would be here. I would imagine that castle would have been located in this area relatively. Now we can zoom down in on this land mass to survey as to whether or not there was or could have been a castle. And I do see a structure of a form, and it seems to be a circular area here, but that is just not necessarily. Yeah, there's a circle here and a circle there, as if something were here in the past. So this is the third point, the point where the castle was located. And all of that land was filled in with buildings. Yes, if we go back to the map, we see that all of this land which was a peninsula and possibly is now an island. If I back off further, my first spot of investigation, which I glazed over initially, was this castle and islandic area right here, and the inlet that it is in, and the tributaries that enter in it as well. So to go back and keep all of that in mind, going back, that inlet, these would be the three, the 1, 2, 3. And then the inlet that I was just looking at, right here, this bay area. See, there are no towns or names of towns designated, but this castle was my curiosity because I want to go diving for it. I want to go diving for that castle out here in Google Earth, and I just need to find out where it was specified to have been located. And maybe, a lot of the time they straighten out their, what do you call it? The landscape. All right, well, just checking out this area. There's a strange-looking building, eh? A starfort. Of course, naturally. And now, where is that starfort in relation to the map that we were just looking at? It's at Pylos, the Pylos starfort. And going back over here to find the Pylos starfort. Let's just go down in here. Prodano. I wonder if that is the designation for the Pylos starfort. Well, were that the case, to the north there would be two large tributaries. And looking to the north, I see one tributary here at this point, or juncture. Is that what that is? Or was? So that could be it. And as I mentioned, Pila here. And quite a bit of farming and agriculture. Well, this is a very curious survey indeed. And I was just looking for that other massive fort shown. It's curious that this wouldn't be shown as a star fort if it were an actual star fort. Or it's just a castle with houses in it, a totally different type of structure. Or this being the star fort. I wish they had town names here. So, wanted to catch that before I went on with this curious survey. What are these guys doing? With the shields and the long... Okay. On we go. This is our little war battle area down in here. Fione Conta. Foiniconta. Invalangismos. Finicky. Oh man, those people are so picky and finicky. And Camarilla. So, right, as the more I zoom in, the more of these names I get. I don't see the... Now, there's one that starts with a Z. Zizanio. Could that be it? Huh. That's cool. There are a lot of great similarities in this. Zoncio and Pinocchio. Zizanio. I'm sorry. And then Exochico. So, there's a mountain here, a great mountain there. Camarilla here. Metheny. Because they're probably the most wonderful people ever, and it looks like a reverse Florida right here. Huh? Okay, just maybe it's me. And then Tapia. I think I've mentioned that way too many times. So right, the curious armies amassing over here. And it almost looks like they're being, there's a point. See, this army has a point. There's a point to the army. It's got this tip, and I think that is an indication of direction, but then again, this horseman is riding in the other direction. And you'll notice the marina at the end of each one of these. I think these are armies that landed by sea, and that's why they say marina at the end of the, like on this one, marina. And I think they're drawn to show the direction that they're moving. That's probably, it's actually an observation of mine. These are moving this way. These are pointed in a direction that way. If you look at the direction the flags are blowing as well. This flag's blowing in this direction as if they're going that way. These flags are going sort of curving in that direction. So that is a possibility of communication as this army in itself. Now these guys would actually, if you follow the flag theory, they're heading over toward this little army. And these guys are running, heading to the sea, right next to Molony, which I could not find. Now there's some battle going on here. We got trouble right here in River City. That starts with T and it rhymes with P and it stands. Somebody open a pool hall, apparently, because you can see all of the fighting, all of the battles going on here. I'm slightly embarrassed to have to show this negativity and violence on my channel. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mr. Map-making dude. And who is the cartographer here? I apologize for, once again, jumping this around. We have found the area, though. And I would like to further survey this area, but the name of this individual map maker is probably here, if you recognize it. Esabis, Fidelis. I'm not catching it on this. By the command of David. So somebody commanded him to create the map with a very long and elaborate name. What is that? 122. So whatever that 122 is, got me. It could be 1202 or. Neat little map. Finally actually depicted something we were able to find on Google Oit. And the army's curious. There's battling going on over here or something. I mean, what are they fighting? Maybe these guys came out from these houses and they came over to fight. So it does depict battles and trouble and takeovers and nice castles on top of hills. These castles right up here. I mean, they're absolutely strategically located. This castle has a huge mountain right at its back, so you can't really attack it from only the one side. That's neat stuff. And they're not heading up to that castle, I don't think. It doesn't appear to be. And there's no battling here, battling there. There's just none over here. So this is all quite curious and does warrant further investigation. And so, right, I will take a look at this one more army over here because they have some sort of protrusion coming up out of it. And that's flags. Okay, those are flags. Identified now as flags. So, what do you make of this curious 1500s map? And I'm glad we were able to look at a couple of maps that actually you were able to discern and decipher some details, and we have a religious aspect of some form over here. All right, and if anyone made out a name on the overall large letters here, I couldn't. Chihuahua. In relation to what we were actually looking at, which is the area on Google Earth of Greece. Yes. And so I didn't see anything that related to the word of Greece there. Maybe it was a breakdown of this word, Peloponnesos, or something to that effect. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. And thank you for your time.